The centre has decided to scrap this year's CBSE exams for Class 12 students, citing uncertainty due to COVID and feedback obtained from various stakeholders. The call was taken at a high-level meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who tweeted that the decision is student-friendly and one that safeguards the health as well as the future of our youth. A few states like Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Haryana have taken the cue from the CBSE and have scrapped their Class 12 state board examinations. More states are expected to follow suit. The Council for the Indian School Certificate Examination, another national-level board, has scrapped Class 12 exams as well. The Central Board of Secondary Education in a statement said that Class 12 students will be evaluated on the basis of what it calls, and I quote, a well-defined objective criteria, end of quote. This evaluation would be of paramount importance as Class 12 results influence student admission prospects across colleges and universities. However, the details of the evaluation criteria have not been released yet. CBSE also says that students dissatisfied with the marks they get based on this new criteria will be given the option to appear for the exams as and when the situation is conducive. Joining us now to take the discussion forward is Dr. Vidya Yervedkar, Chair of the FICCI Higher Education Committee and Pro-Chancellor at Symbiosis International University. We're also joined by Jyoti Arora, Principal at the Mount Abu Public School. Dr. Vidya and Jyoti, thanks very much for joining us. Dr. Vidya, let me start by asking you, this is a decision that is understandable given the fact that we're still in the midst of a fairly severe COVID wave and there are no vaccinations available, at least to children at this point in time in India. But given the fact that there is this uncertainty around what the evaluation criteria will be, how will that then be accepted by various colleges, etc., what do you believe needs to be focused on as we move ahead?
So I think it is a very good decision that has been taken by the government, and I was very happy that the Prime Minister himself took so much interest and looking at the safety of our young students, he's taken this decision. I really welcome this decision. As regards university or college admissions, I think a lot of hype was anyways being made with the percentages in the 12th standard boards, and professional universities, whether they're private universities or deemed universities like ours, we rely more on our own entrance exam as well as the personal interviews, the written ability test, and we do a lot of psychometric tests because it's more important to judge whether the student really fits into the program that he or she wants to join. And I think a stage has come where more and more colleges and universities should also look at such entrance exams so that students get less taxed and they will also find the right courses of choice.
Well, yes, the skyrocketing cutoffs year after year, that's a story of another debate. But Jyoti Arora, let me come to you with the point that was being made there by Dr. Vidya, that this is a welcome step. But the larger issue now is what should be the basis of this evaluation? We still don't know what the criteria will be. And, what will be the challenge both for students as well as colleges? Because many colleges, some professional colleges, and of course, if you're applying to the IITs, etc., have their own examinations for entrance, but Delhi University doesn't, for instance. So what do you believe the process needs to be from here on?
I consider this as a very, very sensible and appropriate decision. Nothing could be more challenging than challenging this COVID situation, and this is very unprecedented situation and required an unusual solution. So this has put up an end to lots of discussions, lots of speculations and anxiety and stress level going on. Now, when we look at their further connectivity, because CBSE has been asked to compile a criteria which should be well-defined and objective in nature, and which also has to be time-bound in nature. So CBSE is already on with its discussions and deliberations process. It requires time. It requires exercising the minds to find out a criteria, how to derive a mechanism which fits to all kind of students CBSE is catering to. So it will take time. So this is not the time to create any kind of panic. We should have some patience, and whatever the criteria will be defined, that will be in favor of students, because as this decision has come in a very students-friendly manner, CBSE is also an extremely students-friendly board, and fairness and objectivity of the assessment will be the utmost concern with CBSE while formulating the entire formula. And as far getting admission in higher education is concerned, and specifically Delhi University, to my understanding, more than 50% courses already have an aptitude test to get into. So if we could introduce more aptitude tests to get into different subjects, because children have studied those specific subjects for 13, 14 months. And they have completed the course. They were all set to write their examination. So if they were all set to write their examination, if they have already studied one particular subject for 14 months, I think it would be easy for them to crack the aptitude test as well. And MOE should definitely look into bridging the gap between school education and the higher education, which is very, very essential at this moment. And we, being all the stakeholders of school education, should need to act in a very responsible manner. Devising this criteria is going to be challenging. Implementation may also be slightly challenging for us, and then acceptance should be there. So only positivity can bring all these things together. So we really need to be positive in our approach, because this is the need of the hour, that examination was very difficult to conduct.
Yes, it is. It would have been very challenging to conduct the examinations. The CBSE has, in fact, said, the Secretary Anurag Tripathi has said that we are in the process of structuring the criteria of evaluation, and it will be put up in public domain as it is ready. Parents and teachers, principals and students need to wait for a bit. It should be done well before the admissions process opens for colleges as well as foreign universities. So that's the word coming in from the CBSE. Dr. Vidya, just on this evaluation process, I want to understand from you, what would you believe needs to be given weightage to? Many students are concerned about the fact that, look, pre-boards, and I'm not even sure whether most schools had pre-board examinations given COVID or not, but what do you believe will need to be, weighed as far as this evaluation process is concerned?
So yeah, what you said is very right, that some schools have conducted pre-boards, some schools have conducted, but students could not attend or go in for the pre-board. So I really don't think pre-boards is, or looking at pre-board marks is really going to, be useful at all. But I believe that the tests and the assignments that were taken through the year, like the IB board looks at predicted scores, and this time the IB also cancelled their exams, and in fact, at the level of the school, which is again moderated by some external experts, you have these predicted grades. And generally we also run an IB school. So I know that whatever the predicted grades are and the final grades generally match. So I'm sure CBSE will come up with something innovative like this. And we, of course, at the university, as the Symbiosis International University, we are more at the receiving end. And I agree with Dr. Arora that, aptitude of a student and judging the aptitude of the student is far more important. Yes, you may in affiliated colleges where, there is no entrance exam being held, but this year being an unprecedented year, even the affiliated colleges and the public universities need to look at some innovative way by which they can accept these students. And I think the criteria that I guess CBSE is looking at is the continuous evaluation and looking at assignments that were done through the year.
Yeah.
So that's what they want to look at. And you could also look at, maybe the 10 standard marks or, the performance of the child. So every college can actually decide what they would like to really judge of a student who's going to be admitted to that college.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Jyoti Arora, what do you believe needs to be given weightage as part of this evaluation process?
See, we already have practical components associated with most of the subjects. Projects are there. Then, to my understanding, this year students had extended year, which was for normally 15 months. And I really don't believe that schools could not conduct their pre-board examinations. If I have to talk about my school, we had 3 sets of pre-board examinations. In other schools also, the number is around 3 to 4. So pre-board examination can be considered, internal examination should be considered. And even if we have to go back to class 11th, because class 11th, that's out of my experience, that children are not that much serious in dealing with class 11th the way they deal with class 12. So maximum 10% weightage could be taken from class 11th. Otherwise, it should be majorly from class 12 based on their practicals, assessments, internals, and the projects which they complete as a part of their course of study.
Well,
And one
these
thing more I
are
would like to
all
add-
ideas that.
One thing more I
Yes,
would
yes,
like
go
to
ahead.
add here, when we look at the recommendations of NEP, which talks about 360-degree assessment of a child, so this is the best time to practice or initiate those recommendations of NEP. So we can think of an assessment which is very holistic in nature, which is fair also in nature. So
Yeah.
we should definitely keep our recommendations of new education policy in our mind.
Well, this could be the opportunity to actually bring in a degree of holism as far as the evaluation process is concerned. But we'll wait to see the details. The CBSE is still working out what the evaluation criteria will be, and once those details are out, we'll have you both back with us. Dr. Vidya and Jyoti Arora, appreciate you joining us here on Get Schooled. We'll take a break. There's a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a moment.
हम करते हैं